Okay, we're gonna call the meeting to order at 7:05. Meeting of the Boulder Creek Rec Board.
Yay.
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 Pledge allegiance.
Of February
Yes.
7th.
On February 7th, 2018. And let's pledge allegiance.
Let's stand and have a military procession. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you.
I like justice.
And who would like to read the mission statement?
We do roll call.
Let's do roll call.
Number 1.
Yeah, you got
Director Hamilton is present.
Director Fitzgerald is present.
it. Director Gartes is present.
And Director Valdivia is present.
And Director Galt is excused, I believe,
But may come
but
later.
might be here late.
If he got a little bit to come, he could, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
he did, yeah.
He's currently driving from Sebastopol.
Okay.
This city.
Excused.
Oh, we won't hold our breath for him. All right, now would someone like to read the mission
I would love to
statement?
read the mission statement.
Great.
Our mission statement is to provide quality programs and services through the provision of facilities, parks, and activities which enrich and improve the quality of life for people living in our community.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
All right. Now we're going to move to approval of the agenda. Is there any public comment? Hello.
There's a packet behind you if you want to follow along.
Hearing none.
Hearing none. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move approval of the agenda.
I'll second it.
All right. It's been moved and seconded, so we will now have any discussion.
No.
No. Anyone?
I
All
have
right.
a wonderful looking agenda tonight, by the
Yes,
way.
very
Thank
full.
you.
All right.
Thank
We
you,
needed
Manager.
we needed some discussion.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great. And hearing that small amount of discussion, it's time for oral communications.
We got to take a vote on the motion.
All right.
All in favor?
All in favor of approving the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
All right.
Now,
Oral communication.
there's a time for oral communication, which is a time for anyone in the public who wants to address the board.
On any topic not on the agenda.
Any topic not on the agenda.
This is Betsy's first meeting.
Or to,
It's our new chair.
We're trying to ventriloquize.
It's so messy.
or you can introduce yourselves if you're
Yes.
wanting to. This
Anyone
is the
new to
lovely Boulder
town,
Creek
or-
Recreation Board here.
Lots of options.
Oh, my name is Papo, P-A-P-O Sanchez, and my wife Kendra, and we've lived here since 2000, and we live off of Bear Creek Road, and we're very excited to hear that Boulder Creek was able to obtain that as a recreation facility. I had a brief meeting with Hallie, and one of the first things I always tell people when I meet them, because I have a very kind of serious, stern-looking appearance, but I am reasonable, but I am kind of a critic, and I've always been in management positions where I think my being critical has helped. And so a lot of times it may come off that I may feel that as a public observer that maybe it's not moving in the right direction or fast enough, or certain questions aren't asked, and I don't do that so much to upset the meeting or the progress, but I kind of do it to get going in the direction that I think it should go. So,
Interruption. He's from New York City. So,
and so I tend to be, and maybe I'm talking too much and I don't want to take up a lot too much
You have
time.
like 3 minutes.
I have 3 minutes? Okay, so 20 seconds left.
Starting from now.
So I look at myself as a doer and a person who likes to think out of the box. I tend to look at things a little bit differently than most people, so whatever that's worth.
So, I'm Kendra, and I'm just here to see how things are running and to see if I can fit in to help make it work for you. Because I really think that Boulder Creek could be improved and where we could make it more of a community. So, I'm just here to help. And he's more of a creative person, so he has a lot of ideas that I'm here to help.
Thank you.
We got people at the meeting.
I know.
Thanks
Huge.
for coming. It's pretty dull, but thank you for coming.
Anyone else?
Point of order. Director Fitzgerald, you're not the chair anymore. I'm sorry it's hard that the gavel is not in your hand right now.
Thank you. It sounds like that's the end of the public comment. And so we're going to move on to the consent agenda.
Do we have public
It's approval
comment?
of the consent agenda.
Yes,
items 6
we're looking
through
for
8.
approval of the consent agenda, which are items 6 through 8 on the agenda. Is there any public comment on items 6 through 8 of the agenda?
6 through 8 would be the minutes of the past meeting, the approval of the bills, any of the correspondences that you see there.
That's it.
Yeah. So if anybody,
Anyone?
When it says approval of bills, what does that mean?
Those are the approval of the bills that the staff has from the
That's
previous
page
month.
3 of the packet.
That's where?
That's page 3 of the packet.
you'll see a profit and loss statement.
So when you put this together, is there a way to see it in advance to be prepared for the meeting?
May I?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Sorry, we have a new chair. This is the turning of
Sure.
the gavel. So the
Could you tell who
packets.
had the gavel before?
The packets are released to the board and to the public by law no later than 72 hours prior to the meeting. Sometimes we don't, staff doesn't have it prepared until the day before, but it's always simultaneously produced to the public and to the board because of open meeting laws. So she posts the agenda on the website, and there's a packet that goes to the library 72 hours in advance.
Okay.
Basically, it's assumed that, if you're an interested member of the public, you can come and get this information in advance of the meeting. We always have packets that are here as well, but it's available once staff releases it, and it comes to you at the same time it comes to us. And so when we go through the meeting, this is sort of a really formal meeting because we're just doing the ministerial business of the districts. So generally, public comment would be the time where if you wanted to speak to an item, you would ask that item, when they say any public comment, you would ask for that to be pulled. And then they would pull it, the chair would pull it, and then you could speak to any question that you may have. The board generally doesn't do back and forth response because of the danger of wandering into violating public meeting laws, because we can't make decisions about stuff that's not on the agenda that's been publicly noticed. That's why it's a little more formal than if you were to meet with us one-on-one or two of us at a time to talk to us about stuff, because we have to create a public record of the business that's conducted here on behalf of the district that everybody's been notified of in advance. So if it seems a little formal and a little like we just stare at you when you talk, it's because we're sort of constrained by public meeting laws. It's not that we wouldn't love to chew your ear off about it. I could do it for days. Just not necessarily in the context of the meeting. So she could give a little bit of latitude. Like generally when I was doing the chair, I would give people time, to look it over. And if you see anything that strikes you, then you can always ask. And then the chair can direct staff to answer your question if you have a question about a certain line item. But that's kind of how it goes. It's usually, she's the one doing most of the talking, except for when we're allowed to talk in our little parts. After a motion's been made, we could deliberate. Public always gets to comment first. We don't necessarily go back and forth with the public because we can't get into that area of making law without notification. See, I'm the board nerd. I'd be happy to talk your ears off about it all day long. Thank you.
You're welcome. And
You
so
can say-
now,
Any
We're still-
questions?
we're still in
yeah, we're
public
still we're still in public comment. So, do you have any questions? Just
I
You don't have to.
yeah.
guess just let it go on and see what happens.
Okay, great. Thanks. All right. Then, if we're done with public comment, can we move forward?
I'll move.
Okay, great.
I'll second.
Did Director Hamilton move?
No.
I'll
You
move
got
to
it.
approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Well, can we have a
We're
little
gonna
discussion
comment.
about
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Board
Okay.
comment.
Board comments. So this is where we're going
There
to
you go.
talk about the consent agenda. So now we have the latitude to talk about the bills and the correspondences and things like that. So if we turn to page 3, we can look at our profit and loss. And just as a little, to preface this in a historical context, our district has, I've been on this board for many years, and I've never seen this type of report as it's coming to us, and that is attributable to the growth in our district and our programs that we have in-house. When I first started, our biggest income that we had was from a vendor who rented our space, and that was Jazzercise. Jazzercise was our biggest monthly contributor to the rec. Now, as we can see, that they pale in comparison to our own in-house programs, which is fantastic. I mean, that's how it should be. That's how the district has been trying to move for decades, to where we have a robust in-house programs, we have staff in place, and now we are able to sustain ourselves with our own in-house programming. And so it's just fantastic. I could not believe that Kids Fun Day brought in $7,000 last month. And I know that's like timing issues with certain people paying, maybe they didn't pay the last month, but that's our homegrown program. That's how fun it is. Send your kids down here. It's amazing. And so if you look at our monthly expenses, and you have to keep in mind that our monthly expenses are fluid because of how bills come in, but if you look at it as a year total, our bills are going to be pretty much the same, a little bit higher in the summertime or whatnot because of utilage, but it's just fantastic that we've got, Kids Fun Day, we've got the Little Explorers, the Kinder Care. I mean, these are all in-house. And so what this allows us to do, we are not a money-making entity. What we try to do is we try to keep the lights turned on. We try to keep our staff paid. But our main mission is to make sure that we provide quality programs that benefit the community. And just to see the fact that the community is coming to our programs and populating our, it's fantastic. So thank you to our district manager once again. You're going to see that we're not going to have our historical process is not to have where our profits outweigh our expenses, because not shown in this is our tax revenue that we get every year. So that's kind of the main basis of our revenue, is we get taxes.
It's like $12,000 a month to run the district from
Yeah.
taxes.
From taxes, yeah. So whatever we can do above the taxes just benefits. And so what my personal position on this board is that we don't take the money and we sock it away, although we probably should. What I think is that we should give the money back to the community and just enrich these programs and try to hit as much from the kinder care up to seniors, whatever we can do to provide programs. I mean, that's exactly why I'm here, is to just, we're not money generating, but we're here to improve people's lives. So, I mean, if you look at this is fantastic. If you go back,
Right.
3 to 5 years,
Totally, yeah.
right?
10 years or anything.
I was going to say
like
10
just
years ago, I
see
think it was like 2,000 a month. Maybe?
10 years ago, we'd be our income would be $2,000 to $3,000 a month, but our expenses would still be super high. So, and we were relying on the taxes that were coming in to fill in that gap. So this is just fantastic. And this is on top of acquiring another full facility up at Bear Creek, where we have a new PG&E bill, you know, a new gas bill. So, I mean,
Yeah,
thank
really is when you put it in perspective.
Yeah.
yeah,
People who move here, who don't know the history of it, they just wouldn't appreciate it,
yeah.
you know?
And we are fully autonomous. We're not part of Santa Cruz County, thank goodness. We are our own special district, which is great for the people of this community, I think. So that's what I had to say about it. I have some comments about the correspondences, but does anybody else want to?
I'll wait till you're done.
I echo what you said. I was about to talk about the fact that this doesn't even show the tax revenue, which I sometimes think, you know, if you just look at it, you think you don't really understand that there's,
Right,
it's great.
some other supplemental.
Yeah, it's amazing.
What else you got, Brian?
What else do I have?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was going to talk about some of the correspondence. There's just kind of some basic stuff, the CARPD. There's a conference coming up. I'm not going to be here. I'll be out of the country for the month of May. Sorry.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I'll be gone. We're going to Copenhagen.
Oh, how exciting!
Yeah, the whole family, so that'll be fun. So I won't be here for the most of the month of May, so I won't be able to attend that. And I know that I should attend one of those conferences since I haven't yet. It's good networking and all that stuff. BCBA, looking for donations. They have it's not an installation dinner, it's their big fundraiser dinner for the year.
It's both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is an
Installation
installation.
and
So
auction.
that's coming up at Scapazzi, so anybody could go to that. That's the Boulder Creek Business Association, which we're a member of. Yeah. So that's coming up, and that'll be at Scapazzi. That's a great way to meet community people. They're looking for items for their silent auction, if anybody has any of that. The Cougar Swim School,
Yeah.
I thought was really interesting. Maybe we can talk a little bit more offline if you're interested.
There's part of the staff report on it too,
Oh,
so I'll
okay.
tell you my feelings from the proposal.
Okay, great. I was
Okay.
curious what you
Okay,
thought
yeah.
about all
Yeah,
that.
we met and then made a proposal, and I have some changes that I'd like to make on it, but
Oh, but
I'll tell you more.
solicited that.
it was both of us.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I was interested in it, so.
Cool.
How great would it be to have a program in our pool?
What?
You know? I remember riding my bike
I'm
Oh,
up
here we
Bear
go.
Creek to swim team every day during the summertime up at Bear Creek
I
Country
might have done
Club.
a little bragging about that facility to Kurt during water polo.
And Kurt was a district manager here
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
back in the early 2000s, something like that.
Yeah.
So he's proposing something.
Should we wait to talk about that till you
Yeah.
get to your report?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. And then LAFCO, I didn't have any idea about like either one of these people that were we as a district have one vote. Is that what the deal
Yeah.
is? Okay, so I don't have any idea if anybody else has somebody that they want to nominate, or we can just direct staff to complete that.
Whoa. Do you have something on that? Beth?
I've worked with Reed Geisreiter before, and he's been on successor agency boards before. He's a longtime Port District member. He also I've observed him on various other sort of community volunteer boards, so he's a reasonable guy. I'm not familiar with the other gentleman. That's not necessarily a bad thing. His resume looked pretty impressive.
Jeez, I mean,
Yeah.
like, how did he have time to do all that stuff?
Right. So, but in terms of, so for me, I know Reed is a reasonable person who has a very good understanding of the different levels of government and how they all interact. So if it were me, I would tend to sort of go with Reed because he's known. I haven't, and like I said, I don't know this other gentleman, but yeah.
Does
I've seen him
Reed
in action.
does he have Parks and Rec in his heart? Or
Well,
just the
Port
ports?
District has a recreation sort of aspect to it. I mean, it's definitely a
Well,
much
it's
bigger
actually-
business than we are, but
Yeah, I mean, it's important.
there are more similarities between the Port District and us than there would
Water
be the Water
District.
District and
Yeah.
us. So, yeah.
Okay.
That would be
I like that.
my thing too, because he's been serving on it since 2012 and he wants to continue doing it. And he's doing a good
And it's
job.
the whole redevelopment successor agency, is that what, is this the oversight board of that? There's like 3 different things that they, yeah.
Consolidated Redevelopment Oversight Board.
So, that's extremely complicated business. That was the whole thing when Jerry Brown got rid of all the redevelopment agencies by function of law, and then all these other boards were set up for each of these agencies to watch each other from stealing from each other's pocket, because all the money that was left was sort of divvied out based upon how it was apportioned when they set up redevelopment. So that's what this board is. This is an oversight of a successor agency that took in the stuff that the state dissolved and then redistributes it based upon the formula the state set. And the oversight board makes sure that nobody's ripping each other off.
Awesome.
So the fact that he's been doing it, he has a handle on it, because it's really a very hard thing to get your head around if you don't understand how that all came down.
The last thing that I wanted to address was the correspondence from Rachel Wooster. And so we received a letter that, because we asked what she was seeking. And so she clearly defines that she's seeking closure. So after reading all of this, we've gone through this for months now. And so from my perspective as a director, looking at all of the correspondences and everything that we've done, I feel that we have actually come to an adequate closure position. I feel that there were some ADA conflicts that were brought to light, and I feel that we've adequately addressed them. We've done the compliance portions to the ability that we're able to do over at that facility. So from my perspective, I feel that we have closure. I do know that she was a volunteer and she quit before we were able to address that fully. And so a lot of this correspondence came to us after she had quit. So we've addressed it. There was a idea that we would possibly be facing litigation. So that was restricting to us as to whether we could address her directly in a timely manner. We had to make sure that we were protected as a district. So we had to go through our lawyer. So when you're dealing with a public agency and you're faced with the possibility of litigation, you have to do some steps in order to protect the district. So we can't just reach out as a phone call. We can't just as a board or a district address something right away. We have to make sure that we're protected. So I know that it seems lame that it took so long to get some sort of responses, but I feel that we've complied. I feel that I feel adequate that it's been handled, and I feel confident that we've done our job, and so I feel that there's been closure. So that's all I have to say.
Board comment? I was also excited to see Kurt's correspondence. I'll be looking forward to hearing about that. Must have been an interesting conversation during your staff report. Similarly, so the CalCard stuff. It looks like we use CalCard a lot,
Yeah.
and it costs us a lot.
CalCard doesn't cost us anything.
They're not charging us like
No.
so when it's categorized.
I just started having her, instead of putting it
special
all in
district expense,
CalCard
that's
payment.
under-
No, that's like everything.
That's
That's
Yeah.
like she does
sub-item.
like food and.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
So I
good.
just started itemizing them on here rather than, remember we did that supplemental thing?
Yeah.
So I just had her start putting it in QuickBooks as the item it is.
Oh,
Categories.
that's great. No, that's great.
And they,
you
those
use that in
pertain
lieu
to
of
the
warrants from
sub-objects at the county,
Gotcha.
essentially.
Perfect.
So each CalCard bill is broken out into those items instead of paying each of these agencies a check.
Thank you. Because it's $5 a check.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, we
great.
could move in the direction of paying everything that way, but it's a little easier to kind of, it's mostly program related and expenses that need to be paid in a timely manner. I use the card for. you know.
Because I was gonna suggest, I mean, I observed the fire department for a number of months.
Yeah,
And they basically use a credit card for everything because
Uh-huh.
they're so cheap. They don't wanna use
right.
the
services.
Because they don't wanna pay the $5.
It's
And
the
I said,
$5
well, for
and
us,
then-
it's good because we then have that higher level of accountability and all
It's,
that.
yeah, I mean, it's
But-
nice, I think we're moving in a direction now, it's really organized.
Yeah.
You know, so it doesn't feel like, oh, where was that receipt or something, you know, I mean, we've got that system down now.
Mhm.
I think when we first started using a card here, it wasn't quite clear how we were going to utilize it. It's like, you know, but now essentially it's, like I said, for bills or people that come and expect payment right when they come.
Right.
Yeah. You know, and the only difference with the CalCard bit is that payments, the county has a different system of needing payment. All of them go through a W-9 process, you know, so all of that is
Gotcha.
different.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so BCBA, what are we kicking in? Usually we offer some sort of.
Usually we do, you know, a party package or pizza, you know, last year we did the pizza and party
Are we
thing.
working on
So
the Bear Creek
Bear Creek
facility?
is,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of the hit, so that's, you
Oh
know.
man, that's gonna be good. We're gonna be the top.
It's a good- yeah,
top
it's a good
silent auction.
rental.
I'll probably
I
be
mean-
there.
Give them a weekday or a?
You get
Oh.
6 a.m.
During the summer?
You get the county's time.
Tuesday
No.
through Thursday. No, that'll be exciting because
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
bet
they'll be
you
bidding
that's a
that
great
up.
event
Right.
space, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of interest in that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's good advertising.
Have you
It's a
thought
good
of-
event to go to too, if you guys are.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Good.
Have you thought of adding in swim membership?
Well,
We'll see.
I have. It's a little more complicated as we start moving in the direction of,
Sort of restructuring all
Right.
that. Okay.
because some of it won't. Yeah, but yes,
Gotcha.
the swim thing is a great asset that we have now to gift. At
Did
will.
you sign up to go to the thing, the conference? Are you gonna go?
I'm not gonna go.
Okay.
Do you want to go? I know you want. You had talked about the other one
I
that.
want to go, but I don't know if I want to go solo. I mean,
Okay.
I'll look at it again.
When is
It's up in Lake Tahoe, right?
I have no
It's-
idea.
Yes, it's South Lake Tahoe, the same.
Sweet, I thought it was in Fresno.
There's that one. That's the other one.
Oh, see, the Fresno
The
one's
C.
one-
What are they?
I was kinda-
CRPD one, and this
Yeah,
is
because
or
they had
the.
some really good like technical workshops.
Mhm.
So I'll get with you about that, but I don't know because, like I said, there's really only one day of the 3-day program that I'd be interested
Yeah.
in attending.
This May one is always on a poor date for
Everybody.
us. Yeah, as a
Okay.
district, I feel like it's always right. It's like we're opening the pool and have an event the next weekend.
Oh, Wednesday the 28th and then under Friday, June 1st.
Is that something that we need to authorize as a board for the expenditure for?
I think there's a line item in our budget for that kind
training,
of stuff, and
yeah.
because it's
And it
under our.
doesn't, but it's not a movable action that needs to happen to reimburse?
We could either way. I mean.
For board members or for?
Yeah, for board
Uh-huh.
members to
You
go.
guys typically have in the past.
I think we have.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there's, in the policy and procedure manual, it's, there's a dollar limit assigned to it without necessitating board action, but I think we've chosen to do it just so that it shows up in the record.
Mhm.
So I guess that means I'll have to get serious if I want to go, but I'm kind of on the
Better.
fence, because like I said, one day, driving down to Fresno for one day, beautiful, gorgeous Fresno.
Go up to South Lake Tahoe for one day
Yeah,
is a
that's
nice
different.
drive.
There's a different one. The one that's like all the special districts, not just the
Oh,
rec ones.
CSDA?
Yeah, CSDA's got some really good technical stuff, technical workshops on, funding and grant writing stuff.
Did you say fun?
Funding.
Funding.
No, the one that's fun is in Lake Tahoe.
They have a host bar too.
Oh my.
I'm there.
That's not true. They didn't.
That's all I had, thank you.
That's all you
Didn't
had?
get little
Yes.
tickets.
Diane, did you want to make any?
Oh yeah, I think we already talked about the LAFCO. I think Reed probably would be the good one to do it, considering stuff that we've talked about already. And I agree with what Director Valdivia said in regards to Ms. Wooster's letter. I feel like there's really not much more we can do. So, that we've handled it. So, that's it.
All right.
Always in favor.
Yeah.
So I think we can actually.
Can we actually
Vote on the
vote on the motion?
motion?
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any, no, motion carries. I was about to ask for abstentions. All right, so that is the consent agenda, and now we are moving to board comments, which,
I got
are
nothing.
there any more?
Oh, it shows up twice on the agenda.
I know.
I've
But I
been
think
killing
everyone-
for years.
Everyone said everything they need to say?
Except for me, because I always have something to say.
Okay.
Please listen to KBCZ 90.1, our local community radio station. It's a program of the Rec District. It's a non-commercial educational radio station that if you have a terrestrial radio, you can get from here to almost
Masood's.
Masood's. Yeah, right at the
That's
Glen
big.
Arbor, and then going up Highway 9, you get a little bit up there. So anyways, if you happen to tune in between 4 and 6 on Fridays, there's a new DJ doing a reggae soul power hour for the drive time.
Wow.
So
I
yeah,
noticed
from
it.
4 to 6.
Do they talk about beer?
There's a beer review that happens in between called the Pintly Perspective. So I encourage you all to tune in from 4 to 6 on Fridays
The
for
Pintly perspective?
great music, traffic, weather, and beer reviews.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Does anybody have a vehicle that has?
I drove someone else's car here.
Okay.
I'm really hoping that wasn't me. Oh. Stopped.
Never heard mine do it.
Yeah. Okay, great. Then we can move on to the staff report.
Yay.
And
All right.
There's an outline of the staff report in the packet.
Yes.
Page 25.
Page 25. So we'll start with Bear Creek. We've had a lot of meetings and action up there this past month. As if anyone is interested, we'll be coming up on our quarterly meeting with the county staff. I believe we'll be meeting at that facility. I need to get with them on the precise date, but I know it's coming up either the end of this month or March. So if you'd like to be a part of that planning process with them, let me know and I can contact you when I'm meeting with them. Typically we go over, maintenance plans and different aspects of what we're doing up there. We're also going to be working together on the June 23rd event at the facility, which is a Saturday. And as you probably remember, part of our agreement was also coming up with a plan as to how we were going to co-work those 15 Saturday, Sunday combos that the county has utilization of the property. For the most part, you've seen what we came up with. The only part that we're trying to nail down is the relationship between them renting the facility for private parties, if the pool is being utilized, and who is going to be staffing the pool. So that's the only
Our
part
agreement
that's
says they
not.
do, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's the only part that hasn't been agreed
The county will
upon.
provide lifeguards. We kind of let them slide on that this last year.
Yeah. So, that probably won't work that direction. So we have been looking at some different options. One of the issues at the facility that I've noted is that traditionally at a setting such as ours, you would have like a fence line in between a pool and, the facility itself. The things that we were looking at were all, not pleasant to look at, not something you'd want at outside your wedding rental or something like that. So a company that does safety pool fences in San Jose came out and did some measurements, and we're looking at it's a screen type fence, and it's there's holes put in for the posts. They're very slender, so it's a small hole in the concrete. It's very easy to take out and in, however really stable, like you can't push it over. And you can see through it, so it's kind of nice that it's not a line of sight barrier for the pool, which is also a safety concern in case someone was in there and we had a fence in between. You'd want to be able to see them. So the plan so far, in looking, they came out to do measurements, and we're looking at doing essentially a diagonal line from the entrance of the pool gate over to the stairs where you go into the pool, and then all the way to the fence line, so that someone coming to use the gym could come into that area and access the other aspects of that area, as well as the pool decking, because something in private rental use, this time of year, for instance, it's great. That's a great area. It's sunny. It's nice to have out, but we can't really let anyone use it. So the other part of it where we would be looking obviously is around, a square around the hot tub area, and then also one more fence line that could be put up or not right at the patio outside the clubhouse. So if someone's just renting the clubhouse, they would essentially have that slab of concrete before the stairs as their outdoor rentable space. And then something else, the space could then also be open on the other side of that. So we're trying to kind of set zones of availability for public use versus private rental use.
Great.
So it's fairly, I feel like it's fairly inexpensive. We're looking at, about $3,500 for install and the fencing.
What does it look like? What color is it?
It's black like mesh.
Okay.
So essentially it has like a framing. I'm sorry I didn't print a picture of it. It has a framing around
I
it.
think I've
It's got the
seen that
two
around the
posts
pool,
framing,
yeah.
and then it's like a very taut, strong screening,
How tall is
essentially.
it?
You can get any size. I was looking at 5 feet. However,
What tall does it?
The code, is that the code 5 feet, or is it?
Well, the rest of our fencing at the other areas are higher. They're at 6 feet at the front gate, and then at the back part it goes down to 5 feet because of the front part is higher there.
I
But-
don't believe there's a code with respect to that type of fencing.
No, I think that it's the exterior perimeter.
5
where
feet
pool
is the pool
something
is
code.
pool fence.
Yeah.
Like when you have a private, or a public pool, the fence
Right.
has to be 5 feet.
But we're controlling that inner area.
But it's an
so
inner-
this
right.
is
Yeah,
different,
it's a movable
It is,
type of
yeah.
barrier type deal.
But it, I think, I don't know. Anyway, too much lower just felt kind of silly. Like 5 feet. It's also nice you can't climb it because it's screening rather than chain link.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that is something we're, getting some bids on, and it's looking like this is probably what the direction we're going to go, just to have that just in time for opening up and taking it down. We also purchased a new pool vacuum. It's a, fairly large thing that's on a dolly. The nice thing about this vacuum, currently what we've been using is a filtration system that's within the big pool house. It attaches to a vacuum. You run the vacuum in the pool, you do your own cleaning. There is a filtration system, and then we backwash all of that out. The nice thing about this vacuum is that it's portable, and it's a smaller unit that does that filtration in-house. So anything, and it picks up stuff like glass and sand and a more microscopic level of cleaning out the pool. So you have less chance of that
Debris.
stuff staying in there. And
And
we really didn't have one. Like the person cleaning the pool was bringing their own. So this is a good thing to purchase and move on. We had last weekend, the Boy Scout Troop 623 came out to start some landscaping and took out a huge portion of the ivy. So that was really nice to get them
Yeah.
out there. They're interested in helping. We have a volunteer who's come out to start a community garden area. And so they'll be there on Wednesdays and some Saturdays, depending on, interest. Right now, we're kind of co-working that with our Wednesday open days, but they're interested in getting more people involved. And
Is it Brian?
no,
Or
this one's
Ashley?
name's Ashley.
Oh, interesting.
And so it, we're.
Subaru?
Uh-oh.
Let me just see
I know, go look.
if it's out there.
Yeah. And anyway, so they're looking to get some people, as well as I think some of our current volunteer groups are going to be helping out with that as well.
Parked over at the coffee shop.
No.
Anybody at the
Oh.
coffee shop?
Nope.
It's a white car at the coffee shop.
White truck?
Nope.
That's a joke.
Let's see.
No, not me.
The foundation campaign mailers will be mailed out next month. And then, as we mentioned before, we're looking for people to pick some days. We still haven't selected the dates, but we just want to be out on the street to be available to kind of start promoting the idea of what we're doing up there, what the kind of holistic approach to the district is around our fundraising, and try and give a better picture of what is going on. So the mailers and then information for the board to also help get the word out. What means, if you'd like to participate in that, let me know. If you more just want, some flyers and brochures to have in case people ask you about it.
And the campaign is centralized to address the loan that we're trying to pay back.
The campaign,
Or is it a broad campaign, or
it's
what is
a little more broad than that, I would say.
Okay.
Obviously, like, we set a goal of a certain amount of money based on what things were needed as far as fixing
Mhm.
up there. So that's a long-term goal. We have basically been using the funds that are, I mean, we still have a portion of savings from the foundation. I mean, it's basically remained at the same balance of about $25,000. Some of which is earmarked for the antenna project for KBCZ, but for the most part, the rest of it is Bear Creek campaigning money. We haven't spent a lot of it. I mean, it's been things like, pool vacuum. We haven't spent more than $2,000 on equipment or something like that, and then we're often making it back by a few weeks later. We pull in some other monies or whatnot. So we've stayed at that basic, around the same amount of money all year from the campaigning. So I would say that, when we first started off with the campaign, the idea was kind of trying to show people just the climate of our finances. So essentially, like, the district is, I think people are separating out certain aspects of this whole, entity, as far as, like, yes, we have the radio station, yes, we have our programs, we have this facility, we have the Bear Creek facility. All of them are going to suffer if one of them don't do well, and that's kind of part of the picture. We've been trying to let people know, like, as obviously the Bear Creek thing is a bit more prominent in that it's a larger amount of money that we're trying to make. But we're also looking to educate people around, we're trying to run 2 facilities and the radio station now on the same income that we were running this facility before we had those. And that money has to come from somewhere, whether we look to start a process of a bond or whether we want to continue doing fundraising every year and make it work like that. I think the $365,000 that we owe back to the land trust is owed in November. We've started conversations with people for loan monies for that amount to cover that. At which point then we'll have, $2,500 payment a month that will be needed to be paid to that loan. So in part, it's, to kind of break down each of those aspects to people, and that, I have no notion of really being able to pull enough money from the community directly to pay back that loan. Do I think we could do community things to make $2,000 a month? Like, maybe.
Yeah.
Over time. So I think prolonging that payment, but it is obviously costing more money to go that route.
Yeah.
And so that's essentially what the campaigning is, to promote that kind of information.
Got it.
And then also it goes nicely with being able to tell people, here's our summer schedule and here's where, so in part it's to promote our programs and what we're doing, and the better those do, the more money we're bringing in and all of that. So,
And is the land trust, they're not going to hold our hands through a capital campaign? I sort of thought they...
no, I mean, they're willing to, like, they're looking over the stuff our ideas, and helping in that sense, but it's not, they're not running any aspect of it. It's basically like, oh, that's a good idea, or that's not a good idea, or why don't you guys,
Got it.
try doing this, or, so in that capacity,
I thought
yes.
there was going to be more of a joint venture where, like, they would put our information on their things that they would put out there for, like, the rail trail, or
Right.
But that's not.
No, that's not seemingly being
It's not
offered
happening.
in our
Okay.
meetings, but I'm certainly willing to ask again. I had that impression as well, but
Yeah.
it's not like we had a
No,
we
we
didn't
didn't have
sign
it.
anything or say this is our plan. So a lot of that was like excitement around purchasing. But if any of you are more interested in being involved in that process and really open to, as nice as our group of volunteers are within the foundation board, they're all trying to figure out,
Right.
what the best idea is too. And I would not say we have a lead on, or, person driving this necessarily other than myself.
Okay.
So it is certainly an area of the district that could use some assistance for sure. Yeah. So,
Campaigning.
having said that, let's see, so, save the date, June 23rd, if you're able to be there and be a
I got
part
a
of
great
the
email
event.
that I saw go through the Hammer family,
Uh-huh.
one of the founding families.
Uh-huh.
That email that went out was really nice. I thought it was really well put together. There were no typos, and it was well formatted. All of those great things that
Yeah.
OCD people like me enjoy.
Yeah.
But also, I just thought it was worded well and seemed. I can imagine that would sort of entice people who have been founding families up in the valley to want to
Mhm.
participate
Mhm.
the way that it was put together. So that was
Okay.
good.
Good.
Good deal. And can I talk about the kitchen thing real quick?
Yeah.
Are you snickering at me?
Go for it.
So a long time ago when we were developing this, when we were looking at whether or not we were going to get this facility, there were members of the public that sort of approached me and said that one of the things that would be really great would be to rehab the kitchen space that we have up there so it's a commercial kitchen. So for two reasons. One, it makes our rental income much more attractive. I mean our rental, because we can have better catering services come in, and two, in the off times, it's a sort of minimal but service related offering we could have for people who run home cottage businesses that want to rent the space for kitchen use to run their little businesses. There's a lot of interest in that. And so I met with Hallie and a contractor and who volunteered his time and went and looked at that space to try and really get a good handle on what it would take to do a basic conversion from what it is now, which is essentially a residential kitchen that's from 1970, to a serviceable space for catering and commercial kitchen renting. It wouldn't take much, so I sort of volunteered to take the lead on that, so that it's not another great idea somebody has that Hallie can implement. And just sort of the rough estimate it'd probably cost under $15,000 to do all the changes to the framing and the sheetrocking and move some of the gas and electricity to accommodate the larger equipment that we would eventually get, as well as permitting. I thought that was pretty low, so and what the purpose of the meeting was is to get a sense of what it was going to take money-wise to make it happen, and what could be done. Like, what is the least amount of infrastructure that we could do here or demolition or whatever, to make it a serviceable space? What's going to be the cheapest route, but still have a nice end product? And then once we determined that, and if it was feasible, and I think for that dollar amount it is entirely feasible, get an architect from the community to volunteer to do the drawing for the permitting process. I found an architect who's gonna put their stamp on it. They'll draw it up and put a stamp on it for us.
Are they real?
Huh? It's a bona fide licensed architect. I reached out in the community to that, and somebody stepped forward. I have to connect with
That's
her,
great.
but I'm pretty excited about that. It's
That's
very
it.
simple. I mean, it's knocking a wall out between those two rooms and reconfiguring the, there's a little boom boom room that doesn't have a
Massage room?
The massage room.
That used to be the arcade, and it had Tempest and Dig Dug
Wait,
in there,
wait,
which
you
I
did the
love.
photography for like that?
No.
No.
This
Well,
is outside of that
This is
section.
outside, so there's like
It's the
snack
kitchen.
shack?
Apparently,
snack shack.
There's
Chuck
like a
is so
wall?
old. That whole room used to be one room, and then they put a wall up.
Hmm.
So the wall's not load bearing.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
cosmetic wall, so that's helpful in the process of taking it out.
Oh, so that's how you're gonna make it bigger. It
Yeah.
goes for the. Okay.
Just
I'm like,
basically
that
knock
is
the
a
wall
tiny
out and then
space.
put out counters and racks and,
Oh,
you
that's
know,
great. Okay.
reconfigure the space, maybe eliminate one of the doorways. So once I get the architect to do the drawing and we get something submitted to the county, then this contractor is going to tell me what the physical needs are to do the demo and basically making that space ready to move in appliances and buy stuff. And I'm gonna start hustling the community to donate specific things. I'm gonna hustle the community to actually come and do parts of the demo. I can probably get the framers. I mean, they all have to be licensed for any kind of framing or anything like that, which is, I mean, every other person in the valley is, they're an engineer or they're a contractor. So, yeah, essentially that's my little thing, is I'm gonna try and get the sketch together, get the wish list together, and then start haranguing people, like, because I think people want to come out and do something there, and
Yes.
that's a really good way to engage people in a meaningful way that they can see an immediate result, you know? So I'm working on that.
Good job, and that also opens up the possibility for in-house things that we could do as a
Absolutely.
district for
Like beer
improving. I'm not talking about beer making, but I'm talking about like we
Are you ever
selling
not talking about?
selling food.
Right.
like
I
to
still
talk
want to
about
keep
beer
the
making.
pass-through window for sure, you know, like for the pool
Yeah.
thing, for snack bar
Mhm.
dealio, but, you know, Jared was very confident that it was a really low, impact, low cost type of thing to get it to where we need it to be to make that space a lot more usable and marketable, as a amenity to our rentals.
And since we have the connection with the county, we're not worried about that triggering some kind of like,
He said
now
that-
you've gotta put a whole new something because you're changing it.
Well, that's where kind of the architect comes in, because they put the stamp on it and then you go and you meet with the planner and you submit all that stuff. And they'll let you know. Jared said that the changes that we'll be doing are so insignificant that he doesn't see how we will have to do some ADA work on the lip of the door.
Mhm.
The doors, the thresholds, the doors need to be widened.
Yeah.
And the threshold will need to probably get a little thingy on there, but those are really minor things.
Cool.
We're gonna have to have a hood in there and, you know, stuff like that, but, he didn't seem to think that there was anything that was going to be super prohibitively super costly,
So
so.
awesome.
And our pumps for the pool are behind that wall,
Well,
right?
that's what's gonna help us move the plumbing cheaper,
Well,
because it's all right there.
yeah. My
so-
question is there a concern of power draw while pumps are running? And I mean, obviously you'll look at that once we do. But I was just thinking, you know, once we put in a commercial kitchen with like, you know, upgraded appliances and things like that.
I don't think so,
Okay.
because, we're not, you know, we're talking about like a double oven, a stove, a cooktop, and a fridge. And right now, we're running like an electric stove from 1965 and an avocado refrigerator. I mean, I can't imagine how energy
I was
efficient
just
those
gonna
things
say, probably so
Pop some
inefficient.
Jiffy Pop popcorn on that bad boy.
are. A microwave from 1984.
Oh my gosh.
So you're saying, so it's a double oven, a new refrigerator.
This is stuff we haven't sourced, but I have, Andy Kinder had approached me about this a long time ago, and I guess he's good friends with the guy who used to own the Blue Sun Cafe. And they've got a line on this really great market for used commercial equipment. And so he said that he would be happy to do similar to what the contractor did, go with me to start scoping out what would work for us in the space, so that I can get dimensions to give to the architect too. But then that'll give me an idea what our appliance costs would be, which when you're buying used from like restaurants going out of business, you can get very quality things for a lot less.
What makes it commercial kitchen?
Well, it's like the durability of it's not like your little
You can have a
home
bigger.
refrigerator.
You can have a bigger cooktop, you know, where the burners will be,
Sturdier.
you know,
More
sturdier, so you can
space.
actually have big pots and
So does
stuff.
like a kitchen have to be certified so
Yeah.
someone can use it to?
Yeah, so that's a totally different thing that is run
be
through
a-
environmental health.
Yeah.
So they're not going to certify the safety of the structure or the placement of the equipment. They're going to certify the cleanliness of the space and the
Which
setbacks.
they already do for the rest of for the pool.
Yeah, that's a different area of rabbit hole that we gotta go to get a different kind of permit. But once we have that master permit, that'll allow any of those people that like make caramels at their house or jam or whatever to rent blocks of time to make their stuff there, so.
That's cool, that's so much fun.
So anyway, sorry, I just had to tell you all, I was all very excited that it seems like there's some.
Thank you for doing that. That's awesome.
It's, you know, it's a little thing, but it's something
It's
I think that can really engage the community because people are really wanting to see stuff going on out there, and because we're so sort of strapped to do huge improvements because we've got like a roof to replace and all that. That's something I think that will get a lot of goodwill in the community.
Yeah.
Bringing people in to use the volunteer time that they really want to donate that we haven't been able to utilize because we didn't know where to start.
Right.
Right.
Well, and just giving people with cottage industries someplace legal to work is huge.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm all for more caramels and jam in my community.
Yeah. Pies. Somebody should make pies.
Okay, well.
All right. Sorry.
Now, I sent off our computer for some software updates for security system because I went down again and realized part of it's that the software is not working. So that will need to be redone, but shouldn't be, a deal breaker. The rest of the system is still intact and working, so hoping to have that back up in a few weeks. If anyone asks, porta potties will be back mid-March through October. I know it starts to become a big question about when we're going to bring back the public restrooms in the park.
The contractors want to know.
There's one behind it.
Many of you have probably noted that the two that came into the community are still here from the Hep A outbreak, which I think has been very helpful. I don't know if that is an oversight issue or
I
if
think
they meant
call
to
the number.
stay.
for those.
Don't call the
Huh?
number unless they're not
Thanks for
servicing
those.
it.
County.
Okay.
And where are they?
One's at the Oddfellows parking lot
In the
and one's
back.
in our park.
So it was because of the
At-
Hep A thing? Because I
Yes.
saw those come up and I
Yeah.
thought, are they doing construction or something? 'Cause
No, they called us, and when we did the vaccinations here, and I said, this is an issue in our community, so if you can leave them all you want. So they put one at our park, and I suggested one
At Barber
over
Day?
there.
Yeah.
So it's still there, but like I said, I don't know if that's just because they have so many, and maybe these were
They
forgotten.
forgot. It's
But
great.
But they're being
it's very
serviced.
helpful for us. They are being serviced.
So they got to be paying
Yeah.
the bill. They're paying the bill for them because they're clean.
Yeah, you should just.
Yeah, but they have so many. I'm just wondering if two is not maybe
Right.
being
Well-
noticed, but not to
Not rocket boat.
not to take anyone else's money, but it's been nice to have them up here in the community, and certainly
Which,
helpful for certain people within our community too. So
Which service are we going to contract with? Because we had an issue last year with the.
yeah, we
cutting.
won't be accepted to the one we liked. We've been off of their list. I probably will go back to United, even though they're more expensive. They can service us more often.
Was
Yeah.
D&G the one that gave us the boot?
No, Ace.
Oh, okay.
They had the nice
'Cause
ones.
And they were
Suburban
nice. It was a little more
walls.
luxurious, but yeah,
They didn't like people lighting them on fire.
no.
Some
Did we ever
idiot.
figure out what it was they were using?
No, but all the other ones have the same thing again. So we just keep.
We gotta really
covering 'em.
think about. I realize there are privacy issues around commodes, but maybe changing the angle of some of the cameras or something down at
Yeah,
Junction to try and nab those people. This
Yeah.
just pisses me off.
I know.
But last year was the first time that it happened. I mean, it's got to be the same person.
It has to be
that
the same
It's gotta be
individual.
the
It's,
same
Cut.
person.
it's just odd that
Holes.
it's at Garahan Park, and it's down in town too. Like someone's going out purposefully doing this.
I wonder if they're doing it to these ones at Oddfellows.
Yeah. Yes.
They are?
Yeah. Any public restroom in Boulder Creek, the same. It's in the
somebody
other
has
two as
cut
well.
A panel.
Yeah, they're cutting holes in the side of them. So anyway,
Anyway,
just a little tidbit.
dedicate any more time to
Um,
this person is. Anyway.
And then, we'll be doing some other maintenance down there, the barbecue pits, and redoing part of those, as well as the painting of the benches down there. We're going to be limbing some of the redwoods around the parking area at Garyhan Park.
The car's gone.
The car is gone,
thank
if
you.
anyone was concerned.
Thank you.
If you came to the meeting to know about the car, it's gone. We've put in some new gravel and the basic stuff we do in winter. We haven't had a lot of weather this year as opposed to last year's park issues, but anyway, still trying to keep up on that. We are doing a weeding party at Garyhan Park Friday, February 16th. If anyone's available from 10 to 2, kids and families are welcome to attend. It's a Friday, so it's a daytime activity. So if your kids are in school, it gives you enough time to come and do that without them, and then.
Is it hard?
Oh, stop.
We need to figure out what we're gonna do for the middle of that driveway. And have you seen it recently?
Where the spring is?
After
The cars.
Oh,
that
where
have
we
always
used to
gone
have the-
mud bogging.
right.
It's where the spring is, right? Like
It's where the spring is.
perpetually
Yeah.
muddy spot, and now they're like, I went down when I went to go look at the car.
Oh, it's
It's bad.
it's-
But we're
People
kind of
have always
chapped
done
because
it.
of the spring, right? I mean,
Well,
it's-
no, we need to put in something. Like when Linda and I were talking about it, it was like a little not a picket, but a split rail fence. With
You're
some
talking about
rocks.
putting something there so people can't.
Yeah.
drive
well,
in
either
it,
you
peel out.
seal it in,
Mhm.
or
we can't
because
seal
it's
it
such a
in.
mess.
Can't we put like base rock or something, or is it?
He did
just-
put base rock in there.
And it just goes out quickly.
It does
It's
go
'cause
out
it's so
quickly.
then they mud bog through it, and
By a
that was like
giant
that
willow
even
tree.
when there was like
Oh,
something
willow
there.
tree.
Big
That's a
willow
good
tree.
idea.
But willows.
No, we do need to put
Spread, and then that's
definitely
a-
some landscaping or something in that section, because
I do
everything's
notice
just.
Okay, your
Sucked
camera's
in.
not super creepy.
Oops.
But I was
but
thinking
yes,
maybe
yeah.
like it's with the split rail fence, a section like that, but that's gonna rot. So
And
Yeah.
also get run over.
I like the tree idea.
How about a boulder?
Actually,
Like a big boulder.
So one of the ideas
Get on
was,
Mark.
was sections of redwood to put
he's
them
got
in
them.
there.
Yeah.
They'd have to be big. We could try that.
Huge boulders.
Huge boulders.
Which Mark? Kinder or
Mhm.
Bingham?
No. Well, either one. Bingham, if you'd like.
That's a lot of rock.
Yeah.
How about a
Okay.
bunch of giant posts sunk about 4 feet
Well, see,
deep
the boulders are
vertically?
like, they're not gonna be able to vandalize, they'll remove them.
Yeah.
Well, part of it's the slop,
Mm.
something to soak up that, and then the other part's people.
People clearly are mud bogging. They always have
Right.
right there.
Yeah.
Country living.
Oh God, it's so messy. It's so
Okay.
bad.
Well, those are
Alright.
good. I'll be out there Friday 16th
Yeah.
if you'd like
That's
to.
somebody's form of
Give me
recreation,
some
so
ideas.
Yeah.
kind of, can you consider
Yeah, let's look at
that?
the mission statement here and see if we're providing someone with a enriched and improved
Oh,
quality of
quality of
life
life.
because they can drive their truck through the mud. Sorry.
No, it's fine. There's new bark out on the playgrounds. We're still in the middle of moving some of that. Always a fun,
It's always-
always a fun project.
Did you get calls from parents whose sweaters got ruined by the bark?
Yes.
Really? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, it's lovely to time it with some rain, but that doesn't always happen. So, obviously, anyway, bark is a lovely thing. We are looking for someone with a forklift or something that can, so if anyone knows someone, I've sent out a few and called a few people. I haven't had anyone say yes yet to lifting. Our storage unit over here needs to be repositioned. In a perfect world, I would go to our neighbors and ask for it to be in another location, because I would really love to have more of that playground access. I don't think we're ready to ask for that yet, but it does need to be re-leveled.
'Cause it's
Um,
falling.
It's interesting because we do have, as part of our property here, 30 feet from the building out into the,
Stick it right out front.
where the other,
I would,
The other-
somewhere where we could have drive-up access would be wonderful, because
Yeah.
it's really
Oh,
hard
yeah.
having heavy equipment that we have to
Store
pull
there.
in. Yeah.
yeah, and go through the fence. It's ridiculous. Just hard on staff.
And it's a,
You're talking about like right there?
I would
Talking where-
actually propose putting it where the sand gets
Yes,
dropped off.
totally.
Ah, yeah.
And have it
Alright.
put in that section along our fence line there.
Yeah.
It's not utilized by the property owner. And potentially, I feel like the sand could probably still go there to the side of that.
Mhm.
Still be, a safe location. It's just
It
as
would
close to
beautify
any
it.
fence.
Right now
And then
it's
we
just
could
all-
have either a picnic area there or some, it's just kind of wasted space for parkland. And so if anyone knows anyone
With
that
a
they might
crane.
want to
Big
drop a hint.
forklift?
Well, and then we'll need a forklift, but it's in part, it's,
Or crane.
collaborating with our neighbors
land
to
barons.
okay the movement of the item, so. So anyway,
Some
moving on.
bipartisan cooperation, I think is what she's looking
As
for.
a
Yeah.
part of the outreach liaison from the rec district to the fire department, I'll see what I can do.
Okay, sounds great. And then if you, I, wanted to give you guys just some, well, sorry, the swim thing is on here first, but if you go through that proposal and go on to, did it make it in? Yay, page 36. So I just included, I've been so impressed with what they've been able to develop at the radio programming, and I have, really very little to do with a lot of that, and I just wanted you guys to have an idea if you're not able to listen that much. These are all of the shows that are going on.
This is amazing.
And
I know.
it's, I didn't print out the other color one because it's a little hard to, it's kind of small to look at all the programs, but they really have a lot of live shows going, and it's a great resource for us too. And so I would encourage any of you to also get involved or help promote other activities going on in the community. There is the tree line and the other ways to access them. So even if you think of it another time, or their Facebook page or things like that to
They
help
just
promote.
put up for Valentine's
like
Day. You can call into the
So
tree
cute.
line and leave a recorded message for somebody that you love.
I spammed that
and
around a little bit. That was so
they
cool.
will
So cute.
put the recordings out on Valentine's Day, and you can be anonymous too. You can say you love your pet. You can say you love anything. You love the Parks and Rec, but you can just call. It's free. You leave a recording.
Well, might
Nobody's
be edited,
lining
but
up for that.
It could be edited. We'll see. But remember, it's everyone's listening, so decorum is a must. But it was a fan. When I saw that she did that, that was awesome. That was
That's
from
a
our
great
station
idea.
manager.
Such a good idea.
Yeah, it's really cute.
And then, they're, expanding the station offerings and, doing a great job with that. I'm really impressed. And then, we don't have a lot to report yet on the project moving forward with the antenna, but that's still, unless you've had a
Well.
meeting without me.
Seems like you're having meetings without me.
No, I included you.
No.
Um,
No, but we are moving forward with figuring out how best to and basically utilize the resources that we have to expand our broadcast. As we all know, we only have an umbrella that we could broadcast terrestrially, get it anywhere in the world on the internet, but we have this umbrella we can't go beyond, but we're trying to find the best way to fill that area, especially to get to the mountaintops and stuff, which is really hard to do, and north on Highway 9, so, yeah.
So more to come on that. Brian has generously been volunteering time to take on
Sending emails
putting
and
that,
Thank you.
putting that together.
technical stuff that I don't know much about, so.
And then programs and events. We have a lot of new programs starting up, some of which are on here, but I included, kids' fun nights coming up, or a fun way to have a night out. Right now, we're ending up doing 2 in April because we have 2 events, and neither of them are on the 3rd Saturday.
Can I bring the
So that's the
teenagers
only
and drop
month-
them off?
Yeah, of course.
On Valentine's Day?
I would love to have them.
I'm kidding.
I would love more teenagers to
I'll
be
give you
here.
$10 a head and tell them that you're paying them $10.
And I'm
to
trying.
come help you.
I am trying to get. You can give them over for a. I'm trying to get this teen night thing together.
Has it ever been successful?
I feel like it can be. Like I just would really like to do. I would like to do First Fridays, is the idea. So it's paired with something else in town, and just every first Friday is a teen night here.
Get Just Dance.
So,
I know you hate that stuff, but
no, I love it.
they move and they're into it.
Yeah.
You could borrow mine.
Okay, perfect.
Borrow mine.
Great. No, I don't hate that stuff. Come on. I like anything that they have fun with, as long as it's, a good rating. And then, the Wednesday night community nights have been really great. We're getting a lot of young families. I'd love to start, venturing out into other demographics as well, even though it's a nice thing. We haven't often been able to do that here because of this being such a multi-use space. It's been hard to have
Young families equal
a
family board
hangout,
members?
right? It's true. It's hard to have a living room or kind of hosted communal time here because it's either balls flying through the gym or it's just not that same setting of like being able to sit and be in community with each other. So that's been really nice, and I'm glad to see new people are stopping in that I haven't seen here before. So it's a great community building
God, little
thing.
kids, that would be the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy people are coming out. It seems to be successful. I think we're working right now on how to start incorporating more access for other uses and have that be safe and liability and how just, staffing and what that would look like. So we may be looking at some, more tennis and gym membership type activities similar to what we did with the pool last year, where it's like it's fairly limited hours, it's very inexpensive, and it's, a little bit more access at least until we're have more hours available to being open up there. And then also including some more events. So I think we kind of are moving in the direction of being able to host some more activities up there for all ages.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you said the garden people are going to be out there.
Mhm.
Can you forward me her email
Yeah.
so I can contact her? And
Mhm.
then there's another garden group on Facebook that's called Gardening in Boulder Creek.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And we're trying to get the guy who admins it to offer like how to plant seeds,
Mhm.
to grow seeds in your house, to
Mhm.
make seedlings or whatever. So I was kind of wondering, would Wednesdays during the community time be a good time for a group like that to come and be
Yeah.
able to access like the picnic tables in the back to
Yeah.
do something like that?
Definitely.
In conjunction with, because the facility would be open, and
Right.
my understanding is that's always the concern about,
Right.
you have to
is
have
how do
staff
we,
there
I
in
know.
order to have
Yeah.
people wandering around the
Yep.
grounds, so.
Right, and that's part of the fencing and all that
I'm trying to get
issues
to do
because
it, I'm
I'm
like,
like,
come on, it would be a free thing just for,
Yeah,
club
yeah.
interest, but I'd like to talk to the garden person too.
yeah, no, she's really interested in anything like that, and
If you
she's
could hook
looking
her
to
up.
do. I know Camp Joy and other places do these things too, but her background's more in permaculture and composting. So that's kind of the
Sweet.
workshop she's been doing in
Cool.
her life. So that's her long-term goal, is to start incorporating more of that. And I'm just trying to connect her. She's fairly new to doing this kind of stuff, so just connecting her to other things that are already happening. But it's a great space to offer workshops because we have all the space. So
Right.
I would like to make that available. So it's looking like, as far as kind of regular hours for us, we're going to mimic a similar thing to Wednesdays, where we're doing this 3 to 6 slot, because that seems to be kind of the most popular time of the day that families as well as others can attend. Anything up there, and doing a schedule of like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and a Sunday. And that's kind of what we're looking at.
Cool.
So a 3 to 4 days of being open up there. Trying to offer it a little separately of what we're doing here. So it's just kind of, we started being open here on Saturdays, which has been a big goal for a long time. And I happened to be here for a meeting on Saturday and was just really excited to see so many people like here on the weekend. And I'm here on the weekend a lot anyway and see them outside. And it was just really nice to actually be staffed and be able to be open. And we had, I don't know, probably a slew of like 12 kids playing basketball on the open gym
Awesome.
time. And then the new classes had people. And so anyway, very excited to have some offerings on the weekend like that, and that people came.
Yay!
That's always a plus.
People.
The other thing coming up, March 31st, is the extravaganza, which is really soon, really, coming right up. And then I know this is also during the Do-It-Yourself Fest I don't know how many people attend that in the community here, but it brings in a lot of people from out of town. But
At Camp Crime?
yeah,
Mhm.
so we had this planned already, but the KBCZ is having their funk dance up at Bear Creek. So that's one of their big fundraisers. So mark that one. And you probably know the other ones. Music and Art Festival will be coming up in May, and then Red Mountain Fair. So there's some fun activities coming up. And then, like I said, we have a slew of new classes coming on this next in March. I don't know, something about 2018 has brought people like a lot of ideas and people wanting to do stuff. So I'm really excited because I was feeling like, gosh, we don't have very many new classes. Like, it was feeling a little stagnant. So I'm excited.
The fact that we've been doing so much more outreach around that facility.
Yeah, I think so
this
too.
board started really hitting the community hard,
Yeah.
saying during that whole period of, should we do this? This
Yeah.
is what you want? You
Yeah.
really want this?
Right.
So.
And we have
Jumping
we have a
off the
lot of new
cliff.
people, new-ish people in the area. I mean, I would say anyone that's
Lots.
moved here in the last 4 to 5 years, maybe have no idea about us.
Well,
you
and the
know,
country club
so-
lets people, okay,
Yeah.
well, who's running, you know?
Right. Yep. It's a new organization. So I would love for you guys to read over Kurt's proposal. You don't have to do it right now, obviously. It's somewhat lengthy. My first response to a partnership with another agency. So the proposal is to essentially take over running the pool. So this would be a collaborative effort. Obviously, like, our main part of taking care of it would be to, facilitate the cleanliness of the janitorial work, essentially, like bathrooms, stuff like that. This proposal includes them paying for the bills for the pool, the cleaning of the pool, the lifeguards, the lessons. This is like a whole package of them essentially taking on that whole part of
Like he does with
the district.
Yeah.
schools.
I think, my first feelings are a little bit like, I was excited to, as we've seen like with Kids Fun Day, like it took some years, but after some time we really were able to establish like staffing and, but in reality, like, I was the staff for that for the first year.
Yeah.
And I still am sometimes the staff for that when we don't have a sub. And I can't be in 2 places at once. And so in reality, to us expanding and growing, instead of hiring another manager for the facility, there's part of me that looks at this and realizes this person has the experience. They have experience with the district. They're easy to work with for me. So there's a lot of pluses on that front. The offer would be, 7% to the district. There's things in it I already told him. I said 7% of his
revenue.
of
And I think it
revenue.
was 10 the second year.
10 the second year.
But that's including
kinda low.
him.
It is a bit
He's
low.
buying all the chemicals, he's hiring.
Right. So I need to do, he just got this to me
Gotcha.
Tuesday,
Yeah.
so I need to do a little bit of, crunch some numbers on our end from last year and kind of really figure out, okay, well, how much money are we talking?
I just wonder, isn't it lessons that make the most money for the swim
Yes.
team? The swim that,
Well, in his structure, yes. I wouldn't structure it with the pricing he did. He's mimicking what he does at the high school, and I think our facility's different. And I also didn't like the hours. I feel like the hours I would offer, I already got back to him on that, are different. Our facility is not appropriate for 8 a.m. swimming until we make some changes. The pool's not warm enough. So until we make some changes on that front, I can't really see us, most people, like 10 or 11 a.m. is as early as people want to get in that pool.
And if he does it exactly the same as his place, then there's no place in the valley you can rec swim before 1 o'clock. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
right, and that's.
Yeah.
That's already a
hours.
problem with the high school pool. is
Right.
you
Yeah,
have to
that's-
take
So some of
lessons
it's
until
just some
1 o'clock.
changes in the hours. Some of it's like his projection on, he gives some great projection on revenue and pricing, which I think is pretty accurate based on what we did last year. The lessons seem totally doable. I think that pricing for lessons, like on page 28, he breaks down revenue. Recreational swim 1 day drop-in, although I would love to see us moving in the direction of being cheaper. We do not have a subsidized facility up there.
Right.
And that, I think that's important to mark that difference in the community, that although we don't want to be a country club and being just membership based, we also are, for all intents and purposes, kind of like one, in the sense that we don't have a lot of money coming in directed at this facility. And so we do rely on that revenue to run it.
Right.
The summer passes are quite a bit less than what we charged last year. And so I would
But
love
it's
to,
only 3 hours a day that you can swim.
yeah, so the hours, like I said, the hour shifting is something that I need to talk to him about.
Is he gonna still run Cougar Swim in high school?
Yes,
Oh, without a doubt.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you
And one other location.
SoCal. Does he
SoCal.
still do SoCal?
Yeah.
So, how many lessons can the Valley take?
A lot, because we're so parochial. Fultonians do not want to drive up to Boulder Creek. He and I actually had this discussion.
Oh, that's true.
Because, you know, he and I were talking about it at the pool one day, and I said, we are not in competition, our entities.
No.
Number
Yeah.
one, your prices are much lower because you're taxing people through a bond to support those lower prices, but also, people don't want to go all that way if they don't have to, and they can afford it. So, he agreed that
Yeah, that
the
makes sense.
geographical distance is enough. I mean, you know, people in Capitola think that Boulder Creek is Siberia.
Oh, it is.
Felton
For them.
is just, you know, just way too long, so.
Right.
Let them keep thinking that.
That's
All right,
right.
I'm good,
Yeah.
I'm good. It's good.
So anyway, overall, my first reaction is yes, I think this is a smart direction to go. I think the numbers need to change a bit to be, you know, I know how much money we put into staffing. It saves the district quite a bit of money on that front to go this route, in that we don't have to pull in that revenue to find ourselves at a revenue neutral position. So we would be taking in just that contract money and not shelling out money for this aspect of the
Mhm.
facility. So although, you know, anyway, it's also the time for myself and the administration of, I mean, we were pretty tapped last summer trying to run all that we ran, and we weren't even open full-time. Part of that, keeping track of membership, like all of the input that took on our staff to administer all of that was timely too. So I have to think of all those parts of it. It's just like the cost
Yeah, and then you can.
to us
take
on a
your
personal
time.
level and how much harder the job is. And I liked us being really busy. That felt really good, but I also felt like it might have gone a little too far for some people.
I think we sort of always knew, though, that we were never, the pool was not gonna be a revenue generating, that wasn't gonna be the thing that brought the money in at that facility. It was the facility itself.
Right, yeah.
And that the pool is more of an amenity for the community, that we hope would be revenue neutral.
Right.
So, something like this might not be bad, because that was a huge endeavor. I mean, obviously,
Mhm.
a kid from my house worked
Right.
over the summer, and that I could see was a lot of your time
Mhm.
and subordinate staff time,
Mhm.
rounding up all those cats and.
Right.
Right.
And he's got that down to a science, and he's got that pool of lifeguards, water polo players.
He's not gonna
and
pay
swim
him
team
less, are
members.
they?
He
'Cause
does. He pays him less.
It was a
than he
point
should.
of pride, and I gave him a hard
Yeah.
time about how we pay our lifeguards better up
Yeah.
here. So you're not mad at me for stealing your kids, are you?
No, it was great. I mean, we did talk about that, and so anyhow, there's more to come on this. I do need to kind of land on some numbers and such, because I was hoping to start in March, being able to advertise what we're doing for summer.
So, for like, last year we did heat it,
Well, we run the solar.
the solar.
It's just a really.
There
funky
is a
system.
heater there that I think in past years Mary Beth did try running in the winter, and she had the dome on the pool, and she ran the heat through what is actually the heater for the hot tub.
Mhm.
I'm not sure how much she ran it, and that was many, many years ago. And she said the average cost to her were about $1,200 a month for just the heating portion.
Jeez.
So it wasn't cost effective to move in that direction, but, you know, the solar setup that we have right now is,
Gotta go.
gotta go. It does have to go. So
It's
I think
not
we
panels, it's
should keep
pipes.
it through, you know, this season and then be looking at probably next fall.
Because if it is a better system, it could get the pool warmer, and then you would want to get in it earlier theoretically and have
Yes.
exercise classes.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to go exercise. Well, I don't really exercise in a pool, but were I someone who would, I wouldn't. It wouldn't want to be cold, right?
Well, it depends on what you're doing. Yeah. I mean, there's, right, different people for different activities and they like different levels of water, but we
And
weren't
this-
able to, you know, you have to be above 74 degrees, 75 degrees. And when the weather changed, like it got hard for us. That's why we closed, I mean, we had to close the pool.
It was kind of surreal though, because it was
So-
like 122 degrees this
Oh,
last summer
right.
Yeah.
which I think added to the popularity.
Right. It was great. I mean, you know.
Yeah, it was.
There was one day
but-
that we were up there. It was like one of the hottest days in the summertime, and it was like everybody and their kids were in the pool, and like all of us were just standing around going, "We'd be dead if we were outside of this pool right now because it was that hot."
Yeah.
But
There
it
was
was-
like
it was like a-
111 day up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, look this over. You know, if things stand out to you, those were the first things that stood out to me. As far as just like, I would love to be. My idea was to be open from 11 to 7 every day, but Saturday,
So could we extend open swim hours later?
and that we would mimic kind of what we did in last year's, where you had, you know, there was a section of time for lessons midday or afternoon. So you had morning, you know, maybe some morning program of. It could be a fitness, similar to what he's set up on page 30. He has a full schedule. I would just shift all of this to different type of hours and then different activities at different times. Just knowing what the popularity was for us, that facility gets the warmest from 3 to 5:30,
Mhm.
and no one. I mean, we closed sometimes at 3, and people were like, oh, you know, like that was the time because that's what we had.
It gets hot in this
And that was
part.
the, right. So that's the main bulk of swimmers wanted to come from 3 to 6. You know, by 6 people already start going, and then you have from 6 to 7, you've got your adult swim time for people that getting home from work or want to
Mm-hmm.
do fitness in the pool or fitness there at all. The other portion of this that we have not talked about yet was that, like, if we're starting to expand our other offerings other than the pool, as far as like tennis access or you know, whatever
workout
other
room.
activities, the workout room,
Mhm.
if we start doing boot camps or, you know, other activities to kind of coincide with, like, you do your laps, you jump out, you do something else, like this, he's asking for membership, you know, it's basically membership money too. And so there's other aspects that we're trying to
Mm-hmm.
make money on or
Incorporate, yeah.
incorporate as part of that package. And
Hmm.
so we're trying to figure out kind of what that would look like, because we also have camps
I
that
was just
would be
gonna say
wanting
that,
to
your
use the
camp
pool
ones.
for probably up to an hour and a half every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then are we paying money for that or not? Or, you know, so things like that need to be discussed. But like you said, 7%, I mean, is not very much money.
No.
I mean, we're going from last year, from July to January, we made $20,000 on that facility. You know, 14,000 of it was like pool based. So, in thinking about that, let's just say there were, you know, he was in the $25,000 mark. 7% of that is not very much money for us. However,
And
we've
but you-
shelled out.
25
But
We've
you
also
paid all
shelled
those
out
lifeguards
nothing.
out of your
Yes.
pocket, and you bought all the
Right.
chemicals.
So that's
and
the
all that,
that's
so-
the bit I haven't crunched the numbers to figure
Yeah.
out. Okay, where's that line?
Right.
But you know, yeah.
Be curious to know what if you could isolate the pool, what the profit was.
But the pain of the
Right.
chemicals and the lifeguards they pale in comparison to the PG&E, like stuff that we would be having anyways with him
Right,
out
right.
there. I mean, we would be paying the power
No,
bill.
I mean, the
You'd
biggest
be paying
costs
the
for us
gas
at this
bill.
facility are the pool.
Yeah.
I mean, those other things are, you know,
Yeah,
Minimal.
When we get a loan, we're going to
Yeah.
be pulling on that.
We need $2,500 a month, Kurt.
So anyway,
line.
it's
I mean,
more
I think it's a
conversation
great
to come.
idea.
I don't
think
want
it's a great idea, but I
yeah.
also like what you had said about in the beginning with Kids
I know.
Fun Night, that it took a couple years to get going, and now it's,
Yeah.
you know, it's well staffed, it's well participated, it's an in-house program, so
Right.
that's the other side of the coin. So
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to just tell you guys, I didn't put in there, but on page 38, you can read a little bit more about this. So the deal from Ecology Action, where we got the grant to move forward on doing LED light fixtures at actually this facility and that facility.
Oh, really?
These already are, but the gym is not.
Right.
So basically what the portion of it that they did not tell me was that we had the option to sign it and then pay over time in our bills.
Oh,
So we don't shell out any money.
well, that's awesome.
It's just as we pay off our bill, that portion gets taken off. So
Wow.
we'll eventually pay off the $5,000.
Nice.
That's
And then our bills
awesome.
will just.
what a great
Right.
organization they are.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I signed it.
Yeah, right.
We'll
Because
take
there's some laws changing about what they'll reimburse or not as well. So I just wanted to try and get on it before any of those
That's awesome.
environmental laws change. So anyway, that'll be happening. So it's no cost to us. Obviously, like our billing cycles, you know, as they give us more information, I'll include it so you guys can see what changes. But it'll basically come up on our bill what portion is going to that payoff and what we're paying for. So
Awesome.
yeah, and then we'll be bigger and brighter and better.
More
Right.
ecologically sound.
So that's my life in a nutshell for you.
Wow. Uh-oh.
That's you.
Yeah, we're back to the agenda.
Chair.
So that was the staff report. And now we're at the regular agenda. And we have no unfinished business, is that correct?
It's true, as far as I know.
Fabulous. So item 12, moving on to new business. We need public comment on just item 12 or on the whole?
Yeah,
On just
12.
item
Oh,
12.
okay.
Is the
So
public comment?
shall I read it first or ask for
Mhm.
public comment first?
Read it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, item 12 is action discussion on resolution 01-18 to reauthorize the KBCZ advisory group to be the regulatory body of the station and to be the liaison between the station and the BCRPD board of directors.
Can I just give a little background on that before you ask for comment?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the advisory board was created by this board, and it included members of the community, people that were professionals in the radio industry, and so those were people that had to apply. They gave us applications, the board approved, and essentially they're the advisory group, which is kind of a go-between between our district manager and the board. So problems that are arising from, maybe there's internal strife within the radio group, they're not getting the
Sorry.
answers that they want from the station manager, they can go to it would be another step that they can go if they had grievances, they can go to the advisory board. Or the advisory group would come into play if the station manager wanted to change policies and wanted to bounce some ideas off. So it's like an intermediary. It's basically a helping body that's not made up of the DJs and the members of KBCZ. It's kind of a autonomous body. So that's what the advisory group is.
And I also need to amend the resolution. On now, therefore, it be resolved. The third line in there has Parks and Recreation Committee accidentally still in that batch. So that's the only part you would need to take that out. Because we're not establishing that right this time. Other than that, it's right. Sorry. Thank you.
Can we just strike it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then, okay, but did Hallie want to say anything about it before the public comment, or is that?
I was trying to follow what we did before, and then people would apply. Essentially, we'd be having people reapply at this time because they.
Well,
Yeah.
are all the same people that we authorized the last time still on the advisory committee?
Yes.
Yes.
Then essentially this reauthorizes their
Reauthorizes
membership.
them. Okay.
Okay,
So they don't have
So they don't have to fill
resubmit.
out, right, all right.
great. And so now, if there's any public comment on this action, we could hear it. Hearing none?
So,
Should we go ahead and,
I'll second.
all right.
To adopt.
Moved by Fitzgerald,
Thank you.
seconded
Resolution
by
018.
Hamilton.
Hamilton.
Okay.
With
All right.
with
With the-
the corrections read on the
the
record.
friendly
Thank you.
amendment of the striking of the
Of the
Parks
copy
and
and
Rec,
paste.
the Parks and Rec Committee, thank God they're no longer around.
No, they're coming back.
All right, now, do we need any board discussion, or can we vote on this?
I think this is great.
All right, all in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And this is just like
Passes.
a,
Here, have her just sign it so that.
and this
I
is
have
just
it.
like a housekeeping issue that we have to reauthorize it once a year. It's not a specialty thing that we're doing because of it.
He's not here, so
Oh.
Brian can sign it.
Oh wow! Wow!
Oh my God, this is so awesome, because, you know,
Oh, did you like
the
that?
public can't see. You are the
Guess
chair.
you don't know who you are.
They, you
We
forget.
forget. We've all done this a lot.
Not the chair, just the secretary.
All right.
That's so funny.
All right, great, that passed.
I love it.
All right, item
Okay.
13, board comments again?
Yeah.
Well, I can take one out.
Anybody?
I'd
You
like to
could comment, but you
congratulate
need
our
to take it
new
out.
chair
Well done.
Yay.
on her first meeting of chairing
Oh.
the entire meeting. We had thrown you into this position. You did not want the position. We forced you to do it.
Nothing exciting will happen when you
And
join
I
the
really
board.
appreciate
Nothing,
the fact
thank you, Tess.
that you were chairing the meeting. And I also would like to thank the members of the public for coming. It's really refreshing to see people here. So please do come and get involved in the Parks District.
Great, and I'll thank all the peanut gallery people who are whispering Robert's rules in my ears while we're going along here.
You'll be doing your sleep in no
I
time.
just said you'd be a pro by December.
Anybody else? Great. Do we have a motion to adjourn the
I
meeting?
moved to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Hamilton Fitzgerald, they're like the twins.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No one. Meeting is adjourned at
All right.
District
Never
time.
want to chat. We can
42.
chat.
All right. Thank you very much.